A very good afternoon to all of you. When I met my dear friend Dr. Mehta in Kuala Lumpur in early March, he asked me to prepare a video message to you for this conference, and I'm very happy to do so. Global market, particular reference to rapeseed and products, supply, demand, price outlook. The world market is characterized by strong demand of both oils and fats and oil meals, and particularly here in India. Over the past 5 seasons, the average annual growth in world consumption of all 17 oils and fats was 6.4 million tons, out of which 1.6 million ton annual growth in biofuels and 4.8 million tons annual consumption growth in food and non-food categories. We see this here in the slide. Today, biofuels account for approximately 15% of world consumption of all oils and fats. So it has become an important element in this market. And it aggravated the shortage the world suffered from over the past 12 months when world production fell dramatically short of consumption. Palm oil has become the most important oil, today accounting for 30% of world production of all oils and fats, although it is produced only on 5% of the oilseed area. And therefore, the drought-caused yield reduction of palm oil by 6% last season had a dramatic impact on total world production of all oils and fats due to the importance of palm oil in the meantime. Soybean oil is second with a market share of 25%, and rapeseed oil is already at the third place, accounting for 11.6% of world production. In the group of all oil seeds, soybeans is of course the elephant, accounting for 62% of world production, and rapeseed is in the second place with 11%. In the current season, 2016-17, world production of oil seeds is likely to rise to 551 million tons. This is our latest estimate. It is up steeply from last season. Soybeans alone, 342 million tons, an increase of 31 million tons. US record crop 117 million tons, 10 million tons more. South America, production numbers have increased every week over the past 2 months. And now latest estimates are around 179, 180, probably 181 million tons, up 13 to 15 million tons from last year. Soybeans are in surplus. Also other oilseeds are recovering, except rapeseed. If we look at the individual countries, the market share of India and China has declined considerably over the past 15 years. India is losing, and this has required a substantial increase in imports over the past 15 years. Indian imports of vegetable oils jumped to 15 million tons last season, compared to only 5 million tons 15 years ago. This enormous increase in imports was necessary because domestic production of oilseeds in India was more or less flat or even declining. So efforts have to be done to revitalize the Indian agriculture, have to be done to raise yields, profitability in the agricultural sector. Farmer yields on the farm level have to be increased so that the farmer can increase his income. And the stagnating production has to be shifted upward so that India is able to satisfy a larger portion of the requirements in the future. So I wish you all the best in pushing up yields and production of rapeseed, although the target of 10 million tons seemed to be rather ambitious. A big task, and I hope you succeed. If we look at soybeans in particular, we see here in the slide a significant growth in production, more than doubling within a short period of time, exceeding 340 million tons in the current season. Our current number is world production of 342 million tons, an increase of 31 million tons from a year ago. Production is likely to exceed consumption by 12 to 14 million tons, and this is likely to result in a considerable increase in stocks in the US at the end of August this year, in Brazil, in Argentina, also in India. We see a recovery in soybean stocks in the course of this season, and in other countries. So soybeans are, the soybean situation can be characterized by ampleness, and this is also reflected in the recent downtrend in prices. Soybean prices have fallen below $10 per bushel in Chicago, and we may see some additional weakness unless South American harvest results turn out smaller than currently expected. And another major uncertainty, medium to longer term, unless we get some weather problems in North America in coming months, particularly in July, August, which are the most important months, July for corn and August for soybeans. So a normal weather scenario should keep world supplies of soybeans ample, and this has the potential of resulting in additional downward pressure in soybean prices spilling over to other commodities, also rapeseed. But if we look at rapeseed alone, in the slide here, very obvious, world production of rapeseed has been on a declining trend now for 3 years in a row. Production this season, 62.5 million tons worldwide, down sharply from the record 70 million in 2013-14. Farmers have been running away from rapeseed in a number of countries, particularly in China, where the crop now is only 6 million tons or slightly less, compared to 13 million tons a few years ago. But also European Union production plummeted to a 4-year low in the current season. Outlook for Europe is not very encouraging. The hoped for recovery in the area for the new crop, for this year's crop, has not materialized. Still, we should see some recovery, but overall the outlook is relatively tight also for next season for the European Union, also because the carryover stocks at the end of June are very low. Canada has produced a record crop, probably amounting to 19.4 million tons in the current season. Approximately 0.8 million tons of the crop is still in the fields, could not be harvested before wintry conditions arrived. So there is uncertainty about the real quantity as well as the quality once harvesting can be resumed when fields become drier again and the snow has disappeared. Record disposals in Canada, both rapeseed crushings and exports at new record highs, stocks declining, growing dependence on Canadian supplies. Canola futures were very well supported over the past couple of months and only recently came under considerable pressure, partly because of spillover weakness from soybeans and partly because of spillover weakness from palm oil. World imports of rapeseed and canola are likely to reach a new record level of 15.3 million tons in the current season, July-June 2016-17, of which we think China about 4.2 million tons, European Union 3.9. These are our estimates at the moment. You do not see India here on this table. India has not yet been a larger rapeseed importer. This is something I think you should consider. If oilseed production cannot be raised sufficiently, importation of oilseeds, primarily high oil yielding oilseeds like rapeseed, should be on your agenda to make you less dependent on imports of palm oil and soybean oil. So I think this is something you should take into consideration also to partly fill your supply requirements by the importation of oilseeds. One word to China. Here I have summarized the Chinese balance of rapeseed. We see a significant decline in Chinese rapeseed crushings from 15 million tons in 2012-13 to a low of 9.8 million tons in the current season. Now, as a result of that, the Chinese have become a growing importer of rapeseed meal. And we think they will import approximately 630,000 tons in the current season. It could be higher. They may be approaching 700. But what is important, India is not on the list of origins. It is Canada, and only Canada, which have provided the import requirements for China during the past 2 years. This is also something you should work on to find an outlet for rising domestic availability of rapeseed and mustard meal outside the domestic market. So turning to the oils and fat sector, what is the outlook for rapeseed and rape oil prices? Well, this depends to a large extent on the supply-demand development of oils and fats. Of course, rapeseed prices will be dominated, rapeseed and rapeseed oil prices will be dominated by the market leaders, which are palm oil as well as soybeans and soybean oil. So during October-January 2016-17, prices of major vegetable oils were up sharply from a year ago. Palm stearin up 50%. Soybean oil Argentina up 19% for the average, yeah, October, January, as compared to a year ago. Rapeseed oil in Rotterdam up 14%, lauric oils even 84% up. Prices of vegetable oils have reached their peak. Palm oil prices have jumped up by 50% from their low in August 2015 to their high in January. We have made the highs. Prices have come down considerably since mid-February or the first half of February. The price decline in palm oil, in soybean oil, in my opinion, is overdone. I think we are going to see some correction in the near term. In the next few weeks, I think prices should somewhat move higher because the fundamentals in oils and fats are still tight. Last season, there was an unprecedented production deficit of 4 million tons relative to consumption. And this occurred in a situation with expanding world consumption. And as a result of that, there was a significant decline in stocks. And these low stocks will have an influence on the availability of oils and fats also in the current season. The low stocks will more than offset the production increase which is occurring in October, March, and it will even offset the production increase in April, June. Even in April, June, it will be very difficult to replenish the low stocks of oils and fats worldwide. Only after that, July, September, and October, December 2017, as well as in early 2018, we are likely to see downward pressure in vegetable oil prices. And this will then also affect rapeseed and rapeseed oil. And it will pull down rapeseed and rapeseed oil prices. As a follower, the price signals, the price driver will be soybean oil and palm oil. Now, what are the major assumptions in this scenario? First, for palm oil, we expect that world production will rise very sharply by about 6 million tons in calendar year 2017. For Indonesia, we expect production of 35 million tons, and for Malaysia of 19.8 million tons, and some increase in Thailand, some increase in Central America. Overall, a production increase of 6 million tons. This is a lot, but we have to take into consideration that 3.5 million tons of this increase will be eaten up by reduced stocks. So we must not forget this. World palm oil stocks at the beginning of January 2017 were down 3.5 million tons from a year ago, which means that world supplies will be up only by 2.5 million tons, which does not create an ample situation of palm oil. There are a lot of uncertainties. One of them is the labor shortage in Malaysia and the possibility that lack of labor will result in harvest losses, in a lower oil extraction rate, and overall a smaller palm oil production than would be otherwise possible. So it may be that our production estimate of 19.8 million tons turns out on the high side. Other estimates are at 19.5 million tons or slightly less. Also for Indonesia, as always, there are uncertainties as far as actual production is concerned. In summary, for all oils and fats, I show this here in the table. We expect world production of the 8 major vegetable oils to rise by 10 to 11 million tons during October-September 2016-17. However, with opening stocks at the beginning of October down about 5.6 million tons, total supplies will be up only 5.3 million tons. This will make it impossible to continue to boost consumption by the same rate as during the past 12 months without further reducing stocks. But stocks are already so low that some replenishment has to occur, and I think is likely to occur in the course of this season, particularly in the last 3 to 4 months of this season. Now, again, if you look at the table, and if you look at our current estimate of an increase of 10.9 million tons in production, it brings world production of the 8 vegetable oils to 177.9 million tons. But world consumption, as we estimate it at the moment, world consumption is likely to be 177 to 178 million tons, which does not create any significant surplus. This means that there is a lot of potential for volatility, for price volatility in this market, for all vegetable oils, for all oilseeds and oil meals, in case of weather problems, in case of logistical bottlenecks, like the ones we have seen recently in South America, in case of unexpected demand developments. So let me summarize. The global supply situation for rapeseed and products is going to be tight for the rest of this year. And current early prospects for 2017-18 does not suggest any major supply relief. Some increase in production, but opening stocks of rapeseed and canola are lower than a year ago. Second, world supplies of soybeans are ample. There are enough soybeans available, primarily in the US and South America, for additional demand. There is potential to further increase soybean crushings from the supply side, but the constraint is the meal demand. As soybeans is a meal crop with 80% oil meal content, an increase in soybean crushings to satisfy oil demand or to resolve an oil supply tightness cannot be done without creating a surplus in meal. The meal demand worldwide is in trouble. Meal demand in many countries have stayed behind expectations in recent months, primarily in the European Union, but also in Asia, also in South America. And therefore, the difficulties in finding buyers for the meal will curtail the global crushings of soybeans, thus limiting soya oil production. We are still going to see an increase, but the increase in soya oil output and the increase in soybean crushings stays behind what is possible in view of the large and ample supplies of soybeans worldwide. And finally, world supplies of palm oil are going to recover. But the recovery has been slower than expected. The production increase we have witnessed in January, March has been more than offset by very low stocks, keeping total supplies of palm oil as well as palm oil export supplies well below a year ago and keeping stocks in many producing and importing countries small. In fact, stocks of palm oil have continued to decline in the January-March quarter. Only in the April-June quarter there will be an improvement in supplies, but very slowly. And the real excess of production over demand is likely to happen only from July, September onward. For next year, 2018, we expect considerable price pressure in palm because of further increases in palm oil production on the assumption that there will be normal weather conditions in the months ahead. These lower prices in 2018 are then also likely to spill over to rapeseed and oil and other commodities. Thank you very much.